Hi, Mark, Diaz here for 2danimation101.com. In this video, I will show you how to draw anime faces. This will be the end result of the next series of episodes. I will walk you through to get to this result, and we will achieve it bit by bit, episode by episode. On this particular video, I will cover how to draw only the face with no hair, and on episode 4, I will show you how to draw the hair and so on. I mean, come on. People don't really need hair. I seriously don't get why people love their hair so much. They can just be bald. But anyway, what can you do about it, right? Now, before starting with this tutorial, know that you can download a PDF printable version of every step I do in this video. Here's how. You just need to go to this link, 2d101.com/book3. And that will take you to this web page. It takes a little bit of time, just allow it enough time. And then in here, you just enter your email and click on download workbook. And then you can either download it or open it in the browser. I'm gonna open it. And there, this is the workbook. This is what we will be doing in this video. So if you want to keep practicing drawing the face of this character, download the PDF and take action. Start practicing. Now let's get started with this lesson. One of my students, Jocelyn Leger, studied animation in a formal school, and she mentioned to me that some of the teachers were professional Disney animators and they were super talented. That is awesome. Imagine you're studying animation with professional Disney animators as your teachers. Nice. The problem for her was that they didn't know how to explain. They were very talented, but they didn't know how to help people who don't understand proportions or have no drawing skills. And one thing that Jocelyn mentioned to me is that here at 2D Animation 101, we truly find a way to teach what we know to really get results for our students. Let me give you an example of something I see on tutorials and books, which is similar to what happened to Jocelyn. They go like, okay, so you draw the top of the head, and you do it. Then the ear, and you do the ear. Then the jaw, and you do it. Then here goes the eyes, nose, and mouth, and you do them. And can you see the problem? You're following instructions, but what's happening on the expert's brain? And why is your brain not being able to move your hand as it's supposed to? So what we're doing with the Rogue Mangaka course is that we're finding ways to teach you proportions and really get your results. And instead of going straight forward with drawing, I will give you a ridiculously detailed step-by-step. It is so detailed that if you want, you can skip some steps. But this is so we can guarantee that every beginner gets results. Think of the techniques we cover here as the training wheels for someone first learning to ride a bicycle. Once that person gets the hang of it, they can remove those training wheels eventually. The same here. Use all the geometric measurements as your training wheels first. And once you get the hang of it, you can remove them. This is what we'll do. We will start with geometric shapes that your brain can understand. Then from that basic geometry, we start drawing lines and angles that your brain can take as a natural next step. And then we add details. Everything is measurable. So if you follow all the detailed instructions, you should get an end result like this, instead of something like this. Then after you do this, practice this exercise for a total of 10 times. That's right, 10 times. And then you will be able to start trying drawing with no measures, just like the pros, without any training wheels. And you will see the accelerated learning happening inside you. Instead of having to have drawn for years, you will focus on only the 20% of the workload that gets you 80% of the benefit. And so you will learn faster. So do try it, okay? Let's get it started with each of the steps in detail. So step 1 is draw a perfect circle. You can get it on a single stroke. But if you're barely starting, I suggest you just take, if you're on Photoshop or any other software, just use a geometric shape. In this case, I'm gonna use the ellipse tool. If you have something else, if you have the rectangle tool, just click and hold and select the ellipse tool. Then go to fill and select none, and then go to the stroke and select a color. I'm gonna use black, okay? And then I can just click and drag, and I'm drawing a circle. Now if I hold shift, it turns into a perfect circle. And if I'm still holding shift, now I press alt, and that creates a perfect circle from the center. It will be around here. I release the mouse, I release alt and shift. Now we have a perfect circle. Now I go to the layers panel, click to create a new layer, then select the brush, and now with the step number 2 is to divide this circle. If you are on Photoshop, you can just press shift and then you can draw a line. That's drawing a perfect line, okay? If you are on paper, I will teach you a technique later to create a perfect circle, but for the lines you can just use a ruler, okay? And then what you need to do is draw a line on the top, a line at the bottom, okay? And then divide this in two. I'm holding shift, okay? And then from there, what I'm going to do is step 3. Now I'm going to divide with vertical lines. Again, I hold shift, and notice that I'm using a little bit more space at the bottom, okay? There we go. And then I cut it by the center, like this. And now I have 4 squares and some space below here. Now on step 4, I'm going to kind of use my intuition and try to get this same space down here, okay? So let me do that. It's about, let's see, around here. Yes, I think I got it. Maybe the distance is not perfect, but it sort of is. Now on step 5, what I'm going to do is, let me activate the transparency. I'm using a drawing tablet. Again, if you're using paper, use rulers, okay? I'm now going to divide this space, the row at the middle, I'm going to divide it by 2, like this. Then I divide each half in half again, so I have 4 parts, like that. Again, I'm holding shift. And now what I'm going to do is take this distance on step 7. I'm going to take that distance and kind of get that same distance, which is about a quarter of this space, the space right here, and trace another line, a very thin line. And then on step 8, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get like a fifth, almost like a fifth of the distance between the 2 bottom lines, and draw a line, a very, very strong line right there, like this. And now I recommend doing this 2 to 3 times before moving on, so you can learn it by memory, okay? And now what I'm going to do is, on top of this, you can put a new piece of paper if you're working on paper, or you can just take the layer 1 and lower the opacity. I'm gonna lower it to around maybe 42. Oh, and by the way, let me take also the circle and drop the opacity too. There you go. And now I'm going to create a new layer. Actually, I'm going to select the circle and the layer, and I'm going to press Ctrl E to merge them and call this measures. And then I'm going to create a new layer at the bottom of the layers panel. I click on new, and then in here I rename the layer as face. Now I'm ready. I'm gonna zoom in, and what I'm going to do is start by tracing the circle, the top of the circle, okay? Let me do that in fast forward. There you go. And now I'm going to create a little space for the ear. I'm going to use the intersection here, and then the intersection around the middle of this this space around the middle. That's going to be the top of the ear. Okay, so around here. And now I'm going to draw an oval shape for the ear. Notice that the bottom part is a little bit thinner than the top part, just a little tiny bit. And then I can continue by tracing this with a clean line, and then let me do that in fast forward. And there I have the ear, and now I'm ready to do the chin. What I'm going to do for the chin is I'm going to start by drawing a square right here. So for example, if I trace a line right here, this is not a square, this is a rectangle. So to make it a perfect square, I need to get this same distance around here. And so it would be a line. I'm gonna hold shift and it will be there. That's a square. And then another one. And there, I have two squares, and the two squares have to intersect both lines, okay? And now what I'm going to do is join those 2 points, okay? Very simple. I just did that. And that's the chin. Now let me clean it up. I'm gonna use the eraser in fast forward. There you go. And now I'm going to draw the cheek. So let me do this. And as you can see, I kind of taking this line and kind of this angle goes through the middle of that, okay? That's where I find that intersection, and that creates the line for the cheek. And then what I'm going to do is find a point in which I can join the chin with that cheekbone. So to find that distance, I'm going to divide this line to, okay, this distance is 1/8, and I'm going to repeat that space in here. So 1/8 from here, I get at this point, and I'm going to join that with the chin. Let me do that. And there, I have a very nice looking cheek. Let me just clean it up. I'm going to delete everything else, all the measures. And now I'm going to try to take this same technique, what I did here, and try to mirror this angle on the right side, okay? So let me do that, but from the very middle of the ear, the intersection between the circle and the middle line of the measurements, okay? From here and there. Now, in my experience, when I teach this to students live, I see that sometimes you get the wrong angle. Sometimes you get the angle very, very open. I mean, very, very straight. Or sometimes is too sharp, too much like this. This is too aggressive. So be very careful. You should have it try to imitate this same angle. You need a lot of practice for that, but you will get it in time. Now, what I'm going to do is find the intersection point between this line and the chin. For that, I'm going to repeat this same space. It's going to be a quarter of a space, like this. That's a quarter. This is a quarter. So what I do is this joint, I'm going to join it with the chin. Let's do that. Very good. And now I'm going to clean the line in fast forward. There you go. And now I delete the inside of the ear. And there, now we have the shape of the head, the whole head. Now what I'm going to continue doing is that I'm going to create the classical cross for the face. You can see animators that just have this shape and kind of go like this, right? And then, oh yeah, but when you try it, you put the cross on the wrong place, like this. I'm exaggerating, but you get the idea. And that creates problems. See, if I create the eyes like that, the face is going to look all weird. So I'm going to teach you a way to start teaching your brain the measurements so you can unconsciously get to there. For that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to extend this line, okay, the line of the cheekbone. Let me extend it. And then I'm going to create a parallel line to that divides the chin in two, like so. So, okay, we can understand that, right? Okay, yeah, I can understand this space. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take from this point to the top center of the head, I'm going to continue imitating the roundness of the outline of the head. I'm going to start below here Then I cross that point. Will actually let me undo that so I can get rid of those circles. And then I start below. And then after I cross this point, I'm going to start curving this line towards the top of the face. Okay? And now let me clean it up. And there, this is something that your brain can understand. Okay? You can see this and yeah, I get it. I understand how this face is looking looking at an angle, and it's divided in two. If we were looking the frontal view, that line would be exactly at the middle. But that is why it's very hard to draw a three-quarter view. And now with this, you can, okay, now that you understand that, I'm going to erase the lines that we don't need. We don't need the lines on the top and a little bit below the chin. And that's the line we will use for the face. Very good. Now let's draw the line for the circular line for the eyes. We can just go like this. But instead of that, I want to give you measurements that you can repeat with precision. For that, I'm going to give you 3 points. Let's calculate those 3 points. The points are going to be 3 intersection points. If I take the line of the middle of the circle, and I go 1 line down, I'm taking the first line below, and the intersection between that line and the circle would be 1 point, and the other extreme will be the other side. And then from there, I'm going to trace a circular line that would go like a quarter of the space here. So if I take this and I divide it by half, and by half I get a quarter. Okay, so around here. Now let me do that. Let me undo all of those measurements and get it started. There. Now let me clean up the line, and notice that at the end I went a little bit further up. Okay, I didn't connect exactly on the intersection. I went a little bit up, and that is because this part I wanted to be almost you can see that I almost like this kind of this shape, like this triangle. Like I join, if this is a quarter, I almost preserve that same distance. Okay, so that's the circle, and then I'm going to also erase the inside part of the ear and leave only the cross for the line. And that's it. Later, when you do this enough times, you can just go without any measurements. Remember, this is like your training wheels. Let's start by drawing the eyes. For the eyes, I'm going to visualize dividing the line of the half of the face, then the half of the head, and divide that in 3. So around a third of that distance, I'm going to put a line in there. And for the other extreme of the eye, I'm going to visualize the space of these 2 lines, then the space here, and then that I divide that in half. And I get like around a quarter, which is around here. So it's kind of, if I draw like a perfect square in here, you can see that that would be a very good spot. And that allows me to have this side is going to be smaller than the side on the right. And that is going to be the size we need for the right eye. And then for the other eye, I'm just going to take these 2 points. I'm just leaving a little bit of space between the corners, and that's the other eye. And that's it. So when you have this in frontal view, you will have the frontal view. You will have the space between the eyes is another eye. And in here, because this is kind of at an angle, the eyes have to get smaller because this part of the face is further away from the screen. Okay, it's supposed to be a little tiny bit smaller. Okay, Now let me clean this up a little bit. And now I'm going to trace the top part of the eyes. For this, I just draw a circular shape for the top of the eyes. Now let me zoom in here to explain a little detail here. Try not to go too far and try not to touch the top line, okay? Be very make this line very close to the line of the eye, okay? And another detail is that I'm leaving a little bit of separation for the right eye. It's a little bit separated from the line of the eye, okay? Now I will continue by drawing the nose. If you have good intuition, you can just go straight for it and draw the nose. This is what an expert would go like, but when you're barely starting, you can put the nose on the wrong place. You can put the nose like there, and this is the wrong place to put the nose. Or maybe you can put it too far up, and that's also a wrong place. So what you need to do is use this, again, this is like the training wheels. I'm going to kind of divide this and put like a quarter of the space. So if I divide this space in two, then in two I get a quarter. So about a quarter here. And then I'm going to divide that line, and if I get a third, so I'm dividing, for example, that line in three parts, and on about a third, I'm going to draw a parallel line that goes with the cheekbone line, okay? And that will help me measure how I'm going to draw the line. So now what I'm going to do is take the point of that intersection and join it with the center. So I'm not actually going to join it, but I'm going to go towards it and then stop before getting to close the line. Before getting to that point, I stop, and I stop just before I get to the top line, okay? The line below this, the middle line of this space, the space for the face, okay? And then I draw the lower part. The lower part, I kind of take this distance and replicate it here, and if I join those 2 points, I will get a good angle for the nose, the lower part of the nose. So I have that point, and I'm going to be going towards that line and then stop. Okay? I'm leaving, this is like the correct nose and the correct position for the nose. And now I'm going to delete all the measurements and clean up the lines. There you go. And now all I have to do is put down the mouth. For the mouth, I'm going to take, if I imagine the line of the chin and the line of the nose, I just divide that in half, and that gives me a good place to put the mouth. I'm not going to put it exactly there. I'm going to put it a little bit up, like a third up. So the mouth is going to be, this is where the mouth is going to be. So let me do all that explanation and put it around here. And that's the mouth. So I have all the measurements for the layout of the face. Oh, this was called face, so I renamed it as layout. Okay, now I'm going to create a new layer on top of it and rename it face. What I'm going to do now, again, you can put another sheet of paper on top of this if you're doing this by hand and with pencil and paper, and just trace all the outlines without the cross of the center. For me, what I'm going to do is just take the layout layer and lower the opacity, and I can just remove or hide the measures layer. I'm going to click on the visibility, take the layout, drop the opacity, then select the face, make sure you are on the correct layer, and then start tracing it. I'm going to do this in fast forward. Oh, by the way, this, before I trace it, this is what professionals have in their mind. This is what you are imagining. you can just go, when you have done this enough times, you can start from here. Out of nothing, you can just go whoops, start drawing like the top of the head, then the ear, then the jaw, and you have everything ready. But because inside your mind, this is what you are visualizing. So repeat this enough times and you will be able to start from this step and save all the other hassle. But for now, you need to practice with all the measurements so your brain can understand all the proportions. Let me continue then drawing these lines, the outline for the face. Do it in fast forward. Okay, and there you go. Now I can just go to the layers panel and hide the layout. And this is where you can start from when you have done this enough times. You start right here, boom, and you got that. So now we are ready to draw the face. Once we have everything in place, the head, the eyes, the nose, and the mouth, everything is in its correct place. So now I can just add the details. I will start first by adding the eyelashes, just by making a little triangle at the corner, and then making the top of the eye a little bit thicker, and that creates an eyelash. And then do the same with the left side. Just make it a little bit thicker. Maybe this even a little bit thicker. Yeah, I think that's working. Okay, so now let's continue by drawing the pupils. The size of the pupil should be like taking a third of the eye. That, like, this distance should be the size of the pupil. And it should be a half of a circle. So if I was to complete this circle, I would do something like this. So as you can see, this is like a semicircle. And then I do the same on the other side. Now be very careful, because this is something that could happen. If you're not careful, you could, let me undo that. You could draw the circle like this, like more complete, and that would bring you a mistake, because one eye is like looking in this direction and this eye is looking like to up. So be very careful. The eyes are very, very sensitive. These are very, very important to understand how to draw. So if I have a half circle here, I need to have a half circle on the left side. The character's right side, but my left side. Or maybe even a little bit shorter. Okay, that makes sense. And then I'm going to draw the other part of the eye. Now, to complete the lower part of the eye, I like to imagine a line cutting the eye in half and repeating this same distance below. Okay, like the top of the eyelash to this distance, I like to repeat it below. Okay, so that's what I'm going to be imagining. So I'm not like guessing, okay, it's like sort of there. So no, it's this same distance, and I go somewhere like around there. Okay, and I do the same on the other side. I imagine this line, I imagine another line, and I repeat that distance. Well, maybe on this case, I'm leaving this a little bit longer, because I want to keep this same separation, this same distance. I want to keep it on the right side, his right eye, but my left side. So this is going to be the distance for the eye. You know what? Maybe I need to extend this eye a little bit more. Okay, yes, that makes more sense. What happened, let me return to explain what I was thinking. In here, this felt wrong. This distance felt wrong in comparison with the distance on the other eye. So as you can see, the eye should also fit there. And somehow this felt wrong, because the eye here is too big, and I felt like I had to make that extension. And that's what I did. So I like to explain everything that goes through my mind, so you can understand and really, really learn, and not like leaving things on the air that you cannot repeat. I want everything to be repeatable. Okay, there you go. I think those are the eyes. Very good. Good job so far. Now let's add the eyebrows. For the eyebrows, the eyes are very, very sensitive, but the eyebrows are more forgiving. I can have the eyebrows like this, and this character looks good. I can also have them like this, and this guy also looks good. I can also have him sad, and this character also looks good. Let me draw the eyebrows then. I like to start the eyebrows by drawing the lower line first, and then completing the eyebrow like this. And those are the eyebrows. Now I can continue with the ear. The ear is pretty simple. First, I start by drawing this kind of shape on the ear. Imagine the way to understand this shape super easily is like, imagine like, you see, I don't know if you've seen those drawings in which they draw the birds like this. Okay, imagine those are birds. So you kind of do that, but in a bird flying sideways and a little inclined like the ear, in the same direction as the ear. And then from there, I start drawing a C shape in here, and then extend that C to follow the outline of the ear all the way to around the same distance, and I stop there. Okay, after that, I now draw a line in between this line and this line. In between, I draw in the middle. And then I start raising this up like this. And then I close it up by taking around the middle of that trace I just did, taking the middle and drawing the same shape of the ear. You see this inverted C shape? I'm going to do the same in here. So it would be like waves of C's that are going out. Let me undo all of those, and that's it. We have a character right there, an upset character that is going to be holding a sword, ready to fight. And by the way, I did a little modification in this area. I don't know if you noticed, so let me explain what I did because I did that off the record. Sorry about that. Let me explain to you really quick what I did. Originally, this was joined from this point to the jaw. So it was like a straight line, like this. Let me put it as it was. It was like this. That's how it originally was. And what I did is take that point and then start putting it a little bit inside. So I can have this shape like the skull, and then it goes inside and then outside like this. And in here is the eye. But not too much. It's very, very subtle like this. Very, very subtle. I'm almost just making this line thicker, this area of the line thicker, and then I can erase it like this. And that's it. Great. If you're interested in this kind of training, you should know that the Rogue Mangaka course has been successfully funded. Right now it's at 107%, so thank you all so much for your support. So you should expect this course coming on June this year, 2018. Now, if you're watching this video after today, maybe in the future, hey, well, this is Mark Diaz from the past. How's the future? Can cars fly yet? Anyway, you should be able to visit our website and enroll to the free basic training that I recommend before buying the course. And if you need more than the basic training, then you can go pro and buy this awesome complete training. Thanks so much for watching. Remember to subscribe to this channel. And now in the next lesson, I will talk about how your brain evolves in learning how to draw. And after that, I will show you how to draw anime hair. Thank you so much for your support and for subscribing. See you in the next episode.